Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. After Liam Spencer's rejection, Ivy Forrester supports rival Hope Logan. Liam Spencer turned down Ivy Forrester on B&B. She is now supporting Hope Logan and Liam's reunion in spite of Carter Walton's engagement. An unexpected turn of events is coming. Hope is completely crushed by Ivy's heartbreak, but Liam isn't giving up. TLDR, Liam Spencer rejected Ivy Forrester because he only wanted Hope Logan back. Hope is now resisting Carter Walton's pressure to go right away, and Ivy is advising her to give Liam another chance. Thomas Forrester will be back any moment now. The refusal that transforms everything. How embarrassing. When Ivy Forrester eventually plucked up the nerve to tell Liam Spencer how she truly felt about him, she was met with a barrage of praise about how absolutely amazing Hope Logan is. This is where things start to become very interesting, though. Rather than harboring resentment, Ivy is actually helping her adversary find a partner. By telling her everything Liam said and begging her to give him another chance, she is essentially pushing Hope into his arms. Is Ivy playing a long game? Or is this the most unselfish move in soap opera history? What's actually happening with Carter and Hope? Carter Walton and Hope are engaged, but something is clearly wrong. Hope went utterly crazy when Carter proposed that they elope and get married right away. She objected to the proposal more quickly than you could say cold feet. Why does this woman, who has been married several times, demand a lengthy engagement? Please, everyone, with the possible exception of Carter, can see that she is still in love with Liam. Indeed, Carter is being wonderful to her. However, passion isn't usually synonymous with wonderful, is it? Not to be overlooked is Carter's history of engagements. Do you recall Zoe? Paris? In pursuit of Quinn Fuller, the man left Paris Buckingham at the altar. Folks, this is a pattern. He makes a quick proposal, falls hard, and then catastrophe. Liam isn't being fair. Not only is Liam pleading with Hope to return, but he is also using their daughter Beth as leverage and going into full emotional manipulation mode. We ought to reunite as a family. That's his entire argument. And what do you know? Maybe it will work. Because Liam gives history, passion, and that indisputable bond they've always shared, while Carter offers security and stability. In addition, Liam only shoved Hope in Carter's direction when he believed he was dying. He wants his life back, now that he's suddenly well again. Will Ivy's unexpected step really work? Ivy stated quite literally that she is unable to compete with Hope. Her choice to support Lope, however, is intriguing. Ivy did the math and concluded she was never going to win this one after listening to Liam babble about Hope. She's taking the high road and telling Hope exactly what Liam said, rather than continuing to fight a futile struggle. Hope should hear Liam out some more and consider a reconciliation, she is advising. Hope is in an impossible situation because of this. She possesses. Carter is advocating for an early wedding. Beth is being coerced by Liam into getting back together. Ivy tells her that Liam genuinely cares for her. The woman's confusion makes sense. What will happen to Carter, Liam, and Hope next? Is Hope finally acknowledging that she isn't prepared to wed Carter? Don't be shocked if Carter suddenly finds himself holding that engagement ring again. This engagement is on life support because Hope is clearly hesitant to elope. She wouldn't be making excuses if she truly wanted to marry Carter. Instead, she would be organizing the wedding. And now for the real bombshell that no one has yet to discuss. The Thomas factor. Any day now, Thomas Forrester will return to town. Hope believes she won't see him ever again. She is unaware of what is going to happen to her. The crucial query is whether Thomas and Paris Buckingham are still wed. Paris hasn't been seen in a long time, but the last we heard, they were engaged when he left town. That connection is over, in my opinion. We're looking at a full-fledged love square if Thomas returns unmarried and available. Liam and Thomas might quarrel over Hope. Hope would dump Carter. And perhaps Ivy could find someone who is on the rise. Or here's a crazy idea. What if Paris wants Carter back and Thomas returns married? She may remove him from Hope's grasp while Hope decides whether she wants Thomas or Liam. What will happen to this mess next? Does this imply that Hope's life is about to blow up? When all is said and done, don't be shocked if she ends up with none of these men. Instead of constantly switching between those who are available, this woman needs to figure out what she truly wants. Carter is probably going to end up at another altar because of his history of hurried proposals and unsuccessful engagements. Before popping the question, the man really needs to ease down and perhaps try dating someone for longer than 5 minutes. Thomas's reappearance, if I know these authors, will be at the worst time, likely just before Hope is going to decide what to do about Liam and Carter. We wouldn't have it any other way, since that's how soap operas operate. The true dilemma is, will Hope decide to stick with Carter for safety's sake, get back together with Liam for Beth's sake, or will Thomas come back and show her what true passion feels like? Fans of soap operas, place your bets now. It's going to become messy. With Hope, Ivy takes a stand for Liam. Spoilers for Monday, September 1st, 2025's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful hint that Ivy will be able to hold onto a very conflicted Hope. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ivy's heartbreak. When Ivy Forrester publicly expressed her feelings for Liam Spencer, she was met with praise for Hope Logan's incredible qualities. Ivy had to leave Liam and come to terms with the fact that he wants Hope back. Furthermore, Liam has no intention of abandoning Hope. Even Beth is being used by him to emphasize the need for them to reunite as a family. Because Liam advised Hope to begin a life with Carter Walton, it appears that everyone is oblivious to the fact that Hope is engaged to him. However, Liam was purportedly dying at the time. Hope must make a significant choice because he will now live a long life. She is treated wonderfully by Carter, but she and Liam have a kid and a shared past. Read this. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Thomas Forrester's return is incomprehensible, but Ivy is prepared to act altruistically and recommend Liam to Hope. Hope will be even more perplexed as a result of this. Hope's serious predicament. Hope is told everything Liam stated earlier by Ivy, who tries her hardest to reach her. Ivy encourages Hope to listen to Liam more and think about making amends because she knows she can't compete with Hope. Hope showed that she is not as certain as she claims to be when she objected to Carter's suggestion that they get married straight away. She actually doesn't mind a lengthy engagement. In addition, she needs to consider Liam's proclamation of love. Hope had no idea that Thomas Forrester will return to town at any moment. Hope never imagined seeing Thomas again, but she won't know what to do if she does. Is Thomas and Paris Buckingham's marriage happy? If he is, Hope might be able to return Thomas and send Carter to Paris. After that, everyone will be able to live happily ever after with the appropriate people after Ivy has Liam, until the next emergency. To see how these plots unfold, watch brand new episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful airing on CBS over the week. Visit Soap Opera Spy's social media pages. Carter is prepared to tie the knot right away. Friday, August 28th, 2025 spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful hint that Carter is adamant on clinging to Hope no matter what. Carter's significant action. After believing she was going to lose Liam Spencer, Carter Walton is beginning to worry that Hope Logan might realize he is a better option. Carter has been annoyed by the amount of time she has been spending with Liam recently. He has made an effort to be understanding, but there is no need to wait now that they know Liam will survive. Carter's suggestion that they elope and be married immediately surprises Hope. Given how much they still adore one another, why wait? It's time to start this show, since Hope has been wearing his ring for months. For what reason are they waiting? Despite having a strong desire to be a husband, Carter is unable to have a successful wedding. Read this, The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Will she pick Liam or Carter in their struggle for Hope? What can Hope do? Carter's idea that they be married right away somewhat surprises Hope. She's unsure of what to say. Carter wants to move quickly these days, so she assumed she had time to organize a wedding. Naturally, Hope will never forget Liam's proclamation of love. He doesn't care if she is engaged to Carter. He just wants to be back together. Hope wants to be with Liam once more, even Deacon Sharp. Particularly after their little altercation in the design office a few months ago. He doesn't particularly like Carter. Although Deacon is aware that Liam has previously harmed Hope, he does not anticipate that it will occur again. Lim won't look at Steffi Forrester Finnegan since she's already taken. Hope needs to make a significant decision, but she isn't prepared for it yet. Will Hope's family with Liam always come before Carter, according to Daphne Rose? Is Daphne aware that someone else, possibly even Liam, will arrive before Carter? Ivy Forrester had never expected that her return to Los Angeles would open such a tangled web of romantic missteps, emotional landmines, and family entanglements. But as she stood outside the Forrester Creations office, staring at the reflection of herself in the glass door, the weight of Liam Spencer's rejection echoed louder than any corporate fashion war or design rivalry ever could. Because this wasn't just about a crush or a flirtation rekindled by nostalgia. It was about a love she had, nurtured quietly, patiently, believing that time, distance, and fate would eventually align their paths. Yet when the moment came and she finally confessed her feelings, Liam didn't just turn her down. He shattered her with words drenched in devotion to someone else. Hope Logan, the very woman who had always been both Ivy's rival and reluctant ally, the woman who had a child with Liam, who carried his history in her heart and his name on her lips in moments of longing, the woman who, despite being engaged to Carter Walton, still managed to occupy the sacred, unspoken space in Liam's heart where forever used to live, and Ivy, instead of being bitter, instead of spiraling into the kind of vindictive plotting that had once been her default when her pride was bruised, chose something far more dangerous and self-sacrificial. She decided to advocate for her rival, to become the unlikely messenger of Liam's love, to tell Hope exactly what Liam had said when he rejected Ivy. How? His voice cracked when he spoke about their daughter Beth and how desperately he wanted to be a family again, how his hands trembled as if touching a memory, and in doing so Ivy placed herself in the most paradoxical role of all, Cupid for the woman who had just unknowingly snatched her own future from her hands. And this twist wasn't lost on anyone, least of all Hope, who now found herself spiraling in a storm of indecision, standing between Carter's eager, stable arms and Liam's fervent, history-soaked embrace, her fingers twisting the engagement ring that Carter had slipped on with such urgency, the same Carter who was now pressuring her to elope, to skip the pomp and ceremony and just bind themselves in vows immediately, as though speed could cement a foundation that had never quite solidified, because even as she smiled at him and told the world she wanted forever, her heart whispered a different name at night, a name she had sworn she had moved on from, a name that stirred the very air when Liam stepped back into the light after his near-death scare, because yes, that too lingered over them like a ghost. Liam's alleged brush with mortality, the brain tumor scare, the coma, the $1 million surgery plot Bill had orchestrated, the desperate plea for her to move on, to find someone who could care for her and Beth if he didn't make it. And now that he was alive, healthy, vibrant, and more determined than ever, that past sacrifice had become the wedge undoing her. Present, because how could she ignore the man who once told her to go love someone else to spare her from grief, only to now return asking her to undo the very life he pushed her toward. And while Ivy whispered, "Give him a chance," and Carter shouted, "Marry me now," and Deacon Sharp muttered in her ear that Liam was still her safest bet, and even Brooke Logan hovered in the background with her Logan matriarch instincts itching to restore Lope as the legacy couple it once was, Hope felt herself fracture, because this wasn't just about passion, it was about patterns. Carter's pattern of falling too fast and proposing faster. Zoe, Paris, Quinn, each a cautionary tale etched in diamond bands and broken promises. Liam's pattern of oscillating between women when fear and comfort called his name. Thomas's pattern of obsession and redemption cycles that had left her both enchanted and wary, because yes, Thomas Forrester was the shadow in the wings, the one no one had seen in months, the one whose name still made her chest tighten with unresolved echoes, the one who had left engaged to Paris Buckingham, but whose silence now felt like a prelude to something seismic, because if Thomas returned single, he would ignite the battlefield anew, turning this triangle into a square and perhaps even fracturing Carter's temporary hold entirely if Paris resurfaced to reclaim him. And through all this, Ivy watched, torn between her own humiliation and the odd peace that came from doing what she believed was right. Because telling Hope about Liam's plea wasn't just about selflessness. It was about closure, about freeing herself from the illusion that Liam could ever look at her the way he looked at Hope when he thought no one was watching, about releasing herself from a narrative that had no place for her as the leading lady. And yet, in soaps, the selfless often become the catalyst for chaos, and Ivy, knowingly or not, had lit the match, because now Hope walked the halls of Forrester Creations in a daze, rehearsing Carter's "Let's elope now" speech in her mind, countered by Liam's "Beth deserves a family" plea, haunted by Thomas's absent but imminent presence, pressured by Ivy's unexpected matchmaking, scrutinized by Steffi Forrester Finnegan, who had her own opinions about Liam's future and her brother's inevitable return, and manipulated gently by Bill Spencer, who, though absent from the surface of this storyline, always had his fingerprints on the Spencer-Logan axis. And as September approached and the writers teased a shocking twist, one couldn't help but wonder whether that twist would be a broken engagement, a runaway bride moment at the altar, a Thomas return time to the second of Carter's vows, or a far darker reveal that perhaps Hope's hesitancy wasn't just about love, but about secrets, about a lingering tie to Thomas she hadn't confessed, about a letter, a kiss, a promise never truly buried, and in this volatile mix, where passion battles obligation and history strangles the present, the stage was set for a meltdown of epic proportions, because when Ivy Forrester, once the spurned lover, now the advocate, leaned in and told Hope to consider Liam's words, she didn't just pass along a message. She passed along a spark that could set fire to everything, to Carter's fantasy of a quick wedding, to Liam's fragile hope of reclaiming his family, to Thomas's possible redemption arc waiting in the wings, to Paris's absence that might soon be explained by a shocking return, to Deacon's meddling, to Brooke's scheming, to Ridge's disapproval, to Steffi's territorial instincts, to even Ivy's own future, because in soaps, selflessness rarely comes without collateral damage. And as Hope stared at her reflection, much like Ivy had before, clutching the ring that symbolized security, but not necessarily love, she whispered not to Carter, not to Liam, not to Thomas, but to herself, "What do I really want?" And that, dear viewer, is the question that will drive the next 50,000 beats of this messy, magnificent saga where one rejection set off a chain of reconciliations, rivalries, and revelations that no one, not even the most seasoned Forrester strategist, could fully predict, but all could feel in the tension-laden air of Los Angeles, where history is never truly history, love is never truly lost, and even heartbreak can be weaponized into destiny, the fallout from Ivy Forrester's astonishingly self-sacrificial choice to advocate for her rival had only just begun to ripple through Los Angeles. But already the tremors were cracking the fragile veneer of stability Hope Logan had tried to construct with Carter Walton, because while outwardly she remained the picture of calm, designer sketches in hand, engagement ring glinting on her finger, smile practiced in the mirror, inside her mind was a tangle of Liam's words replaying over and over, his plea to be a family again, echoing in the quiet moments when Beth asked why Daddy wasn't home for dinner, when Deacon casually dropped hints about the kind of man Liam could be, now that he's been given a second chance at life, when Brooke sighed about legacy and destiny and whispered how rare it is to find a love like the one she had with Ridge, nudging Hope to remember that her own forever might have been standing in front of her the entire time, and Carter, sensing the distance, sensing the slow unraveling net, began the moment Liam's prognosis turned from grim to miraculous, had only one strategy: to accelerate, to force the future into the present, to propose elopement not out of romance, but out of fear, because Carter Walton, for all his charm and steadfastness, had a pattern that gnawed at the edges of every relationship he entered. He mistook urgency for passion, speed for security, and every time he tried to rush, the foundation cracked beneath him. And now, as he watched Hope watched her deflect with soft words and long timelines, watched her lips tremble when Liam entered the room, he began to crumble, not with rage but with desperation, confiding in Katie, in Ridge, even in Eric, that he feared history was repeating itself, that he was on the verge of being left at the altar for the third time in as many years. And it was in this climate of suspicion and emotional volatility that Thomas Forrester stepped off a plane and back into a city that had moved on without him, or so it thought, because Thomas did not return empty-handed, nor did he return with Paris Buckingham on his arm, as many expected. He returned alone, leaner, more intense, a man who had spent months abroad recalibrating not just his designs but his soul. And the first whisper of his presence reached Hope through a text message she wasn't meant to see, a photo sent by Douglas, smiling wide in Paris beside his father, captioned only, "Can't wait to see you again, Mom."